Surviving days in the dark.
We've gone through power outages with like torrential rainstorms, but never days without water or anything like that.
You talk about fear, I swear I felt the fear of death.
Grocery stores, restaurants, and volunteers scrambling to help people find food and water.
We're asking for patience from our customers.
And leaders promising that more aid is coming.
We're working nonstop with local and federal partners.
God willing, it will bring a lot of relief to a lot of Texans.
This is KVUE News at 10, the aftermath of winter storms in Texas. After a cold, dark week for many, a much-needed sight, sunlight and melting ice.
A warm-up is finally coming our way this weekend. But as we take a live look at I-35 tonight, we are still in for a cold night. So anything that melted today is freezing right back up, right, and making those roads very slick.
Chief Meteorologist Erica Lopez joins us now tonight, tracking one last really cold night tonight.
Yep, we're still talking about the colds, but for the first night in over a week, I'm not anticipating another round of winter weather. So we're done with the frozen precipitation. We're not done with the cold quite just yet. Take a look at our current temperatures at or below freezing for a lot of us. A day that we managed to make it to the 40s and thaw out with sunshine and finally start to melt a lot of the snow and the ice across central Texas. That's because high pressure is in control now, and that's given us the sunny skies that's in the forecast, and also the warmer temperatures across the afternoon. The rain that you see on radar off into the Atlantic now, that's the last bit of the winter weather mess that pushed through our area. Now we're on the backside of it, and cold temperatures settling in. So a hard freeze warning in effect tonight until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. It is the last official warning we'll see with this long stretch of a winter weather mess. Big warm up headed our way. I'll talk about it along with two fronts that are going to give us some rain chances. Details coming up in the full forecast.
All right, Erica, we will see you again in just a few minutes for that forecast. How about this? A much needed sight in Austin tonight. A C-130 from the Texas Military Department touching down at Austin's airport tonight, bringing pallets of water.
Definitely needed. An estimated 14 million Texans are affected by boil notices statewide. And many Austinites still don't have water service at all.
City of Austin releasing its water distribution plan tonight. And according to that, the general public may get access to bottled water from the city on Sunday of this weekend. Phase 1 of the distribution plan started today to get water to places like shelters, warming centers, and hospitals.
In Phase 2, which starts tomorrow, the city will take water to vulnerable people like seniors who are homebound or people with medical or special needs.
Then by Sunday, the city will be in Phase 3 of the plan to get water out to the general public. The city has not released specific distribution locations yet. They say they'll do that by tomorrow. The sites will run from sunrise to sunset.
Meantime, HEB has announced all its Central Texas stores have power and we're back open today.
Some still don't have water, though. A spokesperson telling us the company's goal now is to get priority items like milk and bread back on store shelves soon.
We did have some transportation delays because of the road closures, and so we are looking to have hundreds of trucks reach Austin over the next couple of days to restock those shelves.
A spokesperson also told us HEB's offered to use its store locations as bottled water distribution points for the city of Austin.
Now, the Central Texas Food Bank is hosting an emergency food distribution event tomorrow. That'll happen at Lehman High School in Kyle starting at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's a drive-through only event and it runs only till 1 p.m. Food banks had to cancel other events that it had scheduled for earlier this week due to weather.
Local power crews still working to restore power tonight. The agency still reporting several thousand outages across the city thanks to things like downed tree limbs. Encore reporting another few thousand outages as well. They're in Williamson County tonight. A lot of people living in rural areas of Texas don't have water or gas either.
Yeah, people living in Fayette County told Mike Maroot something needs to change to prevent future disasters like these.
Don't know what these cows are doing still up here. They need to be down where it's warm.
Fayette County, a winter wonderland where cattle roam rolling hills.
They've been walking around trying to get in the hay patch and trying to get at the tank to get water, and it's all frozen and no hay.
Yeah, so last Sunday it started.
Leon Longhammer works out of Schulenburg, responding to calls for broken pipes, heating problems, and broken water pumps.
Once we lost the water pumps in the country, well, then they were having problems with everything freezing up because they normally circulate their water.
Many in Fayette County use pumps to bring water up from wells, but most of those pumps are electrical and don't have a manual crank anymore.
When the electricity goes off, the well has a small pressure reserve, but as soon as that's out, then they don't have water anymore.
As pumps started to fail, Fayette County started delivering water, but recovery will take time.
We've got people without water, without sanitation. It's a major health risk, and just a little bit of forewarning could prevent a lot of it.
Going forward, Longhammer believes this extreme weather will force changes in response and preparation.
I don't ever remember losing city water or having all these rolling outages. I mean, I've been through some bad ones over 40 years, but this one here takes the cake.
And Fayette County's emergency management expects things to be different the next time Texas sees extreme winter weather.
Just a little bit of electricity could have saved the pumps or kept a warming light on to keep pipes from freezing. That can be provided by some battery backups, and we're going to look at those solutions.
In Fayette County, I'm Mike Marute.
And these storms have had deadly consequences for Texans because of things like car crashes and carbon monoxide poisoning. In East Austin, 3 people have now died after a house fire on East 12th Street on Wednesday. Investigators aren't sure if that home had power before the fire started. A 64-year-old man died in Williamson County because of this cold. But county and sheriff's office officials weren't able to give us any details about who that man was or where he lived. And in Conroe near Houston, the family of 11-year-old Christian Pabon says he died after spending a brutally cold night without power in his mobile home. This is the last video Christian's family has of him. It's from Monday, the first time that he had ever seen snow.
Such a terrible story. The group that operates the state's power grid, ERCOT, now facing legal backlash. A Dallas-based law firm filing a lawsuit against ERCOT and the American Electric Power Company, claiming that the storm was, quote, neither unprecedented, not expected, nor unforeseen. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton issuing a civil investigative demand to ERCOT and power providers like Oncor to learn more about outages, emergency plans, and pricing related to this week's storms.
Now, before this week's winter storms, officials at ERCOT did briefly discuss preparations. CEO Bill Magnus talked for about 37 seconds during a board meeting last Tuesday.
It's actually going to be winter here pretty soon. As many of you and those of you in Texas know, we do have a cold front coming this way. We'll probably see our winter peak later this week or in the very early part of next week. And operations has issued an operating condition notice just to make sure everyone is up to speed with their winterization. And we're ready for the several days of pretty frigid temperatures to come our way.
And that was it. A 2.5-hour meeting 2 days before a series of winter storms that have crippled our state. And that was all ERCOT had to say about what was coming. Now, ERCOT's board members are appointed by a nominating committee made up of current members. And a third of the current board members don't live here in Texas.
You know, it's really hard to imagine how so many things could have gone so wrong during the winter storms that sent Texas back to the dark ages this week. After all, this wasn't our first cold weather rodeo. Back in 2011, when Texas was hit with a winter storm that blacked out power to millions, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, recommended preventative measures to protect Texas power plants from future cold weather catastrophes. It's called winterization, but it's pretty clear now that whatever winterization procedures were taken by the power companies in Texas back then, if any, just weren't enough. The Unreliable Energy Reliability Council of Texas, or ERCOT, mandated rolling blackouts this week that were supposed to last about an hour at a time. But as you know, that turned into day after day of darkness as the state came within minutes of losing the whole power grid, potentially for months, based on ERCOT's own admission. Now, that's shameful, avoidable. The Texas power grid is literally disconnected from the major national grids that cover the rest of the lower 48. Some of our Texas political leaders chose this policy in order to evade the authority of the feds at FERC, which oversees power grids that cross state lines. Instead of talking about how to fix that, many of our state leaders want to blame renewable energy sources like wind generators, despite the fact that 61% of the failures that happened at traditional power plants that use natural gas, coal, or even nuclear energy. Texas may pride itself on independence, but not all Texans are in this boat. El Paso survived this same winter storm with flying colors. They've not fully winterized, or they winterized their power plants. They chose not to also be a part of ERCOT. When El Paso needed energy this week, and they did, they borrowed from their neighbors in the western states, something the rest of Texas can't do. Most elected officials have expressed their concern about the power failures and are promising now public hearings. But will those make a difference? One thing is clear. Ultimately, the people who are responsible for what happened this week owe you the answers. And if you don't like what they have to say, you can vote them out of office. Let's all make sure that the candidates who come up for future elections, whether city, county, or state, let you know where they stand on cleaning up the Texas electric power mess, because that's what it is. The electric utility companies lost a lot of power this week, quite literally. But you have the power to make a difference at the ballot box, and that hasn't changed a bit. We'll be back after this short break.
Sponsored by Subaru of Georgetown. Exceptional value and a Subaru of Georgetown difference. Convenient in-home buying process available at SubaruGeorgetown.com.
Welcome back to the news at 10. We have some breaking news tonight. Southbound I-35 closed from William Cannon down to Slaughter Lane tonight after a deadly crash. An 18-wheeler and a truck colliding. 2 people were killed in the crash. The roads again pretty slick tonight. We don't know if that was the cause of this crash, but be careful out there if you have to travel tonight.
All right, take a look. This has become such a common sight for many Texans. Busted pipes ruining your furniture in your home. The Insurance Council of Texas says this series of storms will end up being the largest insurance claim ever in the history of Texas. And while we've seen long lines at grocery stores and gas stations, these are the lines we're seeing outside plumbing supply stores. This is video from Houston where homeowners try to get in and get anything they could to fix pipes. The state desperately needs plumbers right now, so it's granting waivers to anyone who was previously licensed as a plumber but hasn't updated their education in a while. So today, the governor said more than 320 retired plumbers have renewed their licenses to help. But as we all know, after disasters like these, we often see scams. So if you do need a plumber, please check their license with the state.
Chief Meteorologist Erica Lopez back with us. Erica's here with a much-needed warm-up in the forecast, but tonight's going to be another cold one, right, Erica?
Yep, and tonight is officially our last night that we're going to be under freezing temperatures, at least for the next 7 days in our short-term forecast, But I am talking about much needed heat, much needed sunshine, much needed warmth. We're all looking forward to, especially this weekend forecast. I feel like we've all been so busy with what's going on mentally, emotionally. We forgot about the fact that today's Friday. So just a reminder, it's probably a reminder for myself because earlier today I was calling today Thursday, that the weekend begins tomorrow. Take a look at your weekend forecast. Highs in the 50s and 60s, lows above freezing for our weekend forecast. Now, again, that's not including tonight. Tonight, we're still under a hard freeze with temperatures currently at or below the freezing mark. Camp Mabry, you're at 32 degrees. At the airport, we're at 29 degrees, but we're going to cool down again with temperatures to the 30s across the majority of the viewing area. Tonight, 32 degrees for us currently at Austin, just above freezing for some isolated spots across Fredericksburg, the eastern counties. We're going to drop to the low 20s. I don't think we're going to see many teens out there, unlike the last several nights. Again, we're gradually warming back up, but technically this still is a hard freeze. So it's still a night. You want to worry about your loved ones. You want to protect the 4 Ps, your pets, plants, pipes, and people. We're not out of the woods yet, but by tomorrow morning at about 9 a.m., this warning will expire, and then we are saying goodbye to freezing temperatures for at least a good chunk of the period, if not possibly for the rest of the winter season. We'll just have to see how long-range computer models play out. High pressure in control right now. That's given us the clear skies, which also allows radiational cooling to occur, which is why we're still going to be cold tonight. But high pressure also allows our temperatures to warm up much quicker. So that's why highs back into the 50s by tomorrow. Most of the days will actually be in the 40s, but I think our forecast high will be at the 50-degree mark. Notice not a cloud in sight, not a winter storm in sight, no rain in sight either. 60s by Sunday. Then a weak front pushes through. That's going to give us our 10% chance of rain very early Monday morning. I'm taking you out to midnight, actually, on Monday morning. There's that 10% chance of rain. If we're lucky, our eastern counties will see a spotty shower while you're sleeping. So you're really not going to expect much from it. But then I want to show you the warming trend by Wednesday, mid next week, ahead of the next front that arrives later next week. We're back to the 70s. Can you believe that? Just like that. We're talking about highs in the 30s to highs in the 70s in the span of a week. There's the front that pushes through on early Thursday morning, giving us our next significant rainfall event, a 50% chance of rain. It's not looking major. We're not expecting severe weather at this time. Just make sure to watch out for the possibility of that becoming a little more enhanced as we get closer to that system. Also, an update on our drought monitor. Travis County now officially at just abnormally dry. So we've managed to get out of our drought that earlier, I would say late in 2020, early 2021, we were still seeing some severe categories across central Texas. Your 7-day forecast includes 50s, 60s, even 70s, loving it with plenty of sunshine. Again, our next best chance of rain will be on Thursday with some scattered showers through the day late next week.
So grateful for this forecast.
I know. I mean, when I was forecasting last week's forecast and seeing every single day with snow, sleet, freezing rain, it was a nightmare. So I know we're also ready for a forecast like this.
We are. Erica, great job, by the way, all week long. Our viewers are lucky to have you, and we are too.
Hey, we're lucky to have both of you as well and the rest of the KVUE crew.
That's right. You got that right. Thanks, Eric. Crops ruined all across Texas. The hits just keep on coming thanks to this winter weather.
Yeah, this cold week will impact food producers across Texas for months.
Rooted. It's a celebration, a conversation, all in consideration of black hair.
And welcome back to KB News at 10 as we look at the impacts of this winter weather. The state health department plans to send out a larger supply of COVID-19 vaccines next week to deal with delayed appointments. Texas will get nearly 600,000 doses. Williamson County officials say they plan to restart vaccine appointments tomorrow and Sunday at the Kelly Reeves Athletic Complex off of Palmer Lane. But catching up on appointments will take time.
I just want to encourage you to take a deep breath. We don't have the vaccine on hand. And so just be patient with us as we wait for that supply system to catch up as well.
Austin Public Health has not said when it'll resume its vaccine appointments, but it is reaching out to people who were supposed to get their shots this week to reschedule.
It will take a while for grocery stores to be able to replenish those supplies so we can all get the food we need. The storms killed a lot of crops, halted milk and meat production, and even more than that. Tonight, Anastasia Bolton looks into how these shortages will affect us all.
I'm getting a lot of airtime for all the wrong reasons.
On a day like this,
we're considered a subtropical region.
It takes a trained eye to see what's wrong.
Just don't falling around like that.
Dale Murden can't sell this to us.
See how it's discolored already?
Or anyone.
You know, that won't hold up for fresh.
The storm wiped out Dale's crop for this year, possibly next.
I've had reports in certain groves of 18 degrees. Anything under 28 degrees is too cold for citrus.
The hard work of many others in the Rio Grande Valley is ruined too. Dale grows his own, and he's the president of the Texas Citrus Mutual, the growers association in the valley. He says half of the grapefruit crop, or 86,000 tons, is gone. And all of the late oranges, that's 21,000 tons.
So in an 11-month period of the pandemic, we've had drought, we've had hurricane, and now we've had freeze. It's like the perfect trifecta in the most imperfect way.
Citrus growers are just some of the victims of the winter storm and the Texas energy sector's lack of preparedness for it.
This is a catastrophe.
Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller.
Power went off at our milk processing plants. We're dumping about $8 million worth of milk every day. No electricity, no gas. We can't pasteurize the milk. We've got newly hatched chicks down there freezing to death because the heat went off. They're frozen. Our incubators, the eggs won't hatch because we can't keep them warm. We've got distribution problem on the eggs.
Texans are seeing some of this reflected on the grocery store shelves.
Consumers are going to pay record high prices until this all works out. It'll take 6 to 8 weeks for us to get the stores fully back stocked and the meat processed and the milk in the bottle on the shelves.
That's next year's grapefruit.
Dale measures recovery in months and years. He just needs us to do the easy part, buy local when he's back.
Remember how much you like that Texas fruit and stick with us, and when we're back on the shelves, please support us.
With Jose Sanchez in the Rio Grande Valley, I'm Anastasia Bolton.
It's good advice. Governor Abbott requested a USDA disaster declaration for several South Texas counties that would help farmers and food producers get federal loans.
All right, we're going to take one final quick break, but a reminder, bottled water distribution will be happening in Austin this coming weekend.
And we're expecting the city to release specific distribution locations tomorrow, so stick with KVUE on the air and online. The general public should be able to pick up that water beginning on Sunday. Welcome back to the News at 10 as we deal with the aftermath of this week's winter weather. We know a lot of you got out to enjoy the warmer temperatures today. That was sure nice. A brief reprieve after all we've been through this week.
That's right. Like this photo from Mark showing his little doggy getting out to enjoy the much needed sunshine. And this photo from Belinda and LaGrange after this young gentleman emptied their frozen bird bath. What a nice, is that in the shape of Texas?
I thought he had sculpted that, but that's pretty impressive, I thought. Wow. How about that?
That is nice. Okay, Erica, one more cold night and then we're done. Great warm week, right?
That's right. And then the most wild weather that a lot of us have lived through in Texas, it is gone. And we can say hello to 50s, 60s, even 70s, plenty of sunshine. That's going to thaw out the leftover ice and the leftover snow. Keep in mind tonight, with all of that ice and snow that has melted, roads are still going to be slippery. We are going to be below freezing with a hard freeze tonight, but by Sunday morning, guess what? Our lows are in the 40s. We're back to that February weather that we look forward to all year long, right? We don't look forward to single digits. No. When we ask for winter, that's not what we ask for.
That's absolutely right.
We ask for these 50s and 60s.
When we asked for snow, we didn't ask for this week, right? No. Nothing like this.
No doubt about it.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on KVUE News at 10.
Jimmy Kimmel is up next. So we hope you have a few laughs, and we'll see you back here next week.